Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we are tackling something that is honestly a little terrifying if you really stop and think about it.
Yeah.
We're talking about failure. Specifically, why smart people with great ideas and tons of hard work still crash and burn when they try to start a business.
The statistics are just brutal.
There really are. Most startups fail. And we're not just talking about bad ideas. We're talking about, brilliant teams building technology that works perfectly, but the company still goes under.
It's a sobering reality.
Yeah.
And so often, the problem wasn't a lack of effort or intelligence. It was a failure of process. We tend to think of entrepreneurship as this magical act of genius.
Right, this chaotic thing.
Exactly. But today's focus is on flipping that script completely.
Which is why we're diving into The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. This book is, it's basically the Bible for modern tech companies.
It really is. But his core argument is that entrepreneurship is a form of management. It's not just a gut feeling. And to get that, you have to look at the two old ways people used to do things.
Oh.
On one side, you have the just do it school. It's total chaos. Build it, and they will come.
Right, the shoot first, ask questions later approach.
And on the other side, you have traditional management. This is the 60-page business plan, the 5-year revenue forecast.
The whole 9 yards, you plan it all out like a military operation.
And Rise's big insight is that they're both wrong,
Both of them.
at least for the modern economy. The just do it crowd burns all their cash building the wrong thing. And the planners fail because you just can't forecast the unknown.
The unknown, that feels like the key word there.
It is. We need to be really clear on Rise's definition of a startup. He says it's a human institution designed to create a new product or service under conditions of extreme uncertainty.
Extreme uncertainty. Let's unpack that a little.
So if you open, say, a McDonald's franchise, you have a playbook. The menu works, the brand is known. That's a business.
But not a startup.
Not in this sense. A startup is when you don't really know who your customer is yet or what they truly want.
So this could be two people in a garage. But it could also be a new team instead of a huge company, right? Like Intuit from the book.
Absolutely. Intuit is a giant company, but when they started a small team to build a tax app for phones, that team was operating under extreme uncertainty. Would people actually do their taxes on a phone?
So they were a startup inside a corporation.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
the whole mission of the lean startup is to navigate that uncertainty without wasting people's passion.
I love that phrase, wasting passion, because there's nothing worse than pouring your life into something nobody wants. So how do we stop that?
It all starts with something Ries calls the feedback loop, the build, measure, learn loop.
The engine of the whole thing.
Right. The goal isn't just to build stuff. The goal is to run experiments. You're turning your idea into a science project.
So instead of asking, can we build this?
Yeah.
You're asking.
Should we build this? And to answer that, you have to test your core assumptions. He calls them leap of faith assumptions.
He breaks those down into two types, right?
He does, the value hypothesis and the growth hypothesis.
Okay, so value is...
Does this actually provide value to a customer?
Yeah.
Do they want it?
And growth.
How will new people find out about it? If you can't answer those two things, you're just flying blind.
This brings us to one of my favorite stories from the source material because it just illustrates it so perfectly. Zappos.
Ah, yes. The shoe giant.
Before they were a billion-dollar company, the founder, Nick Swinmurn, just had this hypothesis. He thought people would buy shoes online.
Which back in 1999 was a pretty wild idea. You have to try shoes on.
Right. So a traditional manager would have, built a giant warehouse, bought tons of inventory.
Spent millions before selling a single pair.
But Nick didn't do that. He went to his local shoe stores.
With a camera.
Just a camera. He took photos of the shoes, posted them online, and if someone actually bought a pair,
he'd run back to the store, buy the shoes at full retail price, and ship them himself.
He wasn't even trying to make a profit.
No. He was testing the one thing that mattered. Will strangers buy shoes online without trying them on first?
Yeah.
He was validating the learning.
Which is the perfect lead-in to maybe the most famous concept from this book, the MVP.
The minimum viable product. Yes. And this is so often misunderstood.
People think it just means like a buggy, cheap version of your product.
And that's not it at all. An MVP is the fastest way to get through that build, measure, learn loop with the minimum amount of effort. It's not about being small. It's about being fast at learning.
We have some amazing examples of this. One that really stood out was food on the table.
Oh, that's a great one. The idea was a service that plans your meals based on what's on sale at your local grocery store.
Which is a huge technical challenge, right? You need all this data,
A
algorithms.
massive challenge.
Yeah.
So, of course, the founders didn't write a single line of code to start.
What do they do?
They found one customer, just one. And they performed what Ries calls a concierge MVP.
Concierge.
They went to her house, they interviewed her, they manually looked up the grocery ads, they hand-picked recipes, then they drove back and gave her the shopping list in person.
Wow.
And they collected a check for $9.95.
That sounds completely unscalable.
It is. But you don't need scale yet. You need to learn. By doing it manually, they learned exactly what she cared about before they wasted a single engineering hour.
They waited for customers to pull the features out of them instead of pushing features on the customer.
Exactly. And sometimes the MVP isn't even a product. It can just be a video.
Oh, the Dropbox story. This is a classic.
Right. Drew Houston had this amazing tech, but investors just didn't get it. They kept saying, there are a million storage options out there, and it was too complex to build a simple demo.
So he made a video, a 3-minute video.
A simple screen recording, narrated by him, but he filled it with these little inside jokes and Easter eggs for the tech community on sites like Dig.
He knew his audience.
And the result was that his beta waiting list went from 5,000 people to 75,000 overnight.
Without writing the really hard code first, he proved people wanted it. The video was the MVP.
And then there's maybe the scrappiest example of all, Groupon.
Get this, they didn't even start as Groupon. They were a failed activism site called The Point.
And when they pivoted to group buying, they didn't build some big e-commerce platform.
No, they used a WordPress blog.
Just a blog. They'd post a deal for a t-shirt, and when someone bought it, they would manually use FileMaker to generate a PDF coupon.
And then an intern would email it out from their personal Mac.
They sold 500 sushi coupons in one day like that, proving the model before building the machine.
Okay, but this brings up a sticky point. A WordPress blog sending manual emails. That sounds kind of low quality.
It does, and this gets to a core tension Ries talks about, the fight between quality and speed.
Because every creator wants to build something high quality.
Of course. But the question is, what is quality? If you don't know who your customer is, you don't actually know what quality means to them. You might be perfecting a feature they absolutely hate.
There's a story about this from IMView, right? The company Ries worked for.
A fantastic one. They were building this 3D avatar chat world. And the team was convinced that for quality, the avatars needed to walk smoothly from one spot to another, like in a video game.
Makes sense. Realism.
But it was technically really hard and was taking forever. So, just as a temporary hack, they made the avatars teleport. You click a spot and poof, you're there.
The engineers must have hated it.
They were ashamed. They thought it was a low-quality piece of junk.
And the customers.
They loved it. They preferred teleporting because it was faster. They didn't want to wait to watch their character walk across a room. The high-quality solution would have been a complete waste of time.
That is a huge realization. Quality is just what the customer values.
Exactly. And that means you have to measure what they value.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us to the danger of vanity metrics.
Ah, yes. Innovation accounting. This part feels like a slap in the face to anyone who loves a good up and to the right graph.
Yeah, it can be. A vanity metric is something that makes you feel good, but doesn't tell you the truth. Think total registered users.
Right, that number pretty much only ever goes up.
It's a hockey stick. It looks amazing. You can show it to investors and say, look, we're growing. He calls it success theater.
So what's the alternative?
Actionable metrics. The best example is cohort analysis.
Can you break that down simply?
Sure. Instead of looking at all your users in one big bucket, you group them by when they joined. You look at the January cohort, then the February cohort.
And you see if the February group behaves better than the January group.
Precisely. Are they sticking around longer? Are they buying more? If the cohorts are getting better, your product changes are working. If not, you're just spinning your wheels.
The IMVU team fell right into this trap.
They did. They were working 18-hour days, shipping new features constantly. Their total user number was going up.
So they thought they were winning.
But when they finally looked at the cohort data, flatline, the percentage of new users who bought something was stuck at 1%, month after month.
Ouch. All that work for nothing.
The improvements weren't improvements at all. They were just changes.
So how do you find the changes that actually matter?
Split testing, or A/B testing. You show version A to one group, version B to another, and see which one performs better.
There's a great example of this with a company called Grokit.
Right. They had this feature called lazy registration, where you could use the site without signing up first. Everyone just knew that was the best practice.
I mean, it is. I hate signing up immediately.
So they tested it. Half the users got lazy registration, the other half had to sign up right away, and
Let me guess. It made no difference.
zero difference.
Hmm.
Their behavior was identical. A feature they spent time building and maintaining was actually waste.
That's humbling. You have to be willing to be proven wrong by your own customers.
You really do.
Okay, so you build, you measure, you learn. You use real data, not vanity metrics. But
Hmm.
what happens if the data says this isn't working?
Then you face the most critical decision in a startup's life. Pivot or persevere.
Pivot is such a buzzword now, but Ries has a really specific definition.
He does. It's not just giving up or trying something random. A pivot is a structured course correction to test a new fundamental hypothesis.
I love the basketball analogy. You keep one foot planted. That's your vision. And you move the other foot to find a new angle. That's your strategy.
That's a perfect way to put it. You don't abandon the vision, you change how you get there. Let's go back to IMVU. Their vision was 3D avatars. Their initial strategy was to be an add-on for chat programs like AIM.
The idea being you'd talk to your existing friends.
But the data showed that people just wouldn't do it. It was awkward, they were failing. But they noticed something in the numbers. A small group of users were sticking around.
And what were they doing?
They weren't talking to their friends, they were meeting strangers, using IMVU to make new connections.
So the whole strategy was wrong.
Completely. So they pivoted, they abandoned the add-on idea, and built a standalone social network for meeting new people. They kept the Vision 3D avatars, but pivoted the strategy. And that's when it took off.
Ries has this concept of runway that I think is critical here. It's not just about money.
Right. We think of runway as how many months of cash do we have left? But Ries says you should measure it in how many pivots do you have left.
That reframes everything.
If it takes you 3 months to run an experiment and learn you need to pivot, and you have 12 months of cash, you don't have a year. You have 4 shots, 4 pivots.
So if you can speed up that loop, you get more shots on goal before you run out of money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Efficiency isn't about writing code fast. It's about learning fast.
When you put it all together, the lean startup is really about treating a startup like a science experiment, not a lottery ticket.
Stop wasting time building things nobody wants. Stop looking at metrics that just make you feel good. Validate everything with data.
And remember that entrepreneurship itself is a form of management. It's something you can learn.
It's not just magic.
I think that's a great place to leave it. But before we go, here's a final thought for you to chew on. Ries suggests that most failures happen because we are too afraid to test our vision against reality. We hide in the lab, perfecting things.
So, ask yourself, is there a project you are perfecting right now in a vacuum? Something you keep polishing because you're scared to show it to the world?
What if you released it today, flaws and all? What's the one thing you would learn that could save you months of wasted work?
Scary thought.
But maybe the most important one. Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.